Now I want to talk about what advice works in what worlds.
Yeah.
I guess.
You're very guarded and protective over your heart. And then the universe is like, yes. That's what they was afraid of a few years ago. They thought, right? The universe, God was like, listen, all right, this can go either way because this happened and maybe, then I feel like this is a reoccurring thing in your past life. This happened in your past life. You went the other way. This lifetime, I think you chose differently. Okay, you could have stopped people pleasing or some shit like that.
Well, they say to be different or just be you.
That's
right?
what I'm
about to explain something.
That's what's going to be. You're going to have a reason.
What a sheep does,
and
what the sheep advice is.
For you to be.
Means you just be stuck in the system, and if you do that, and you're the good one, then the devil will win.
Finally, like go ahead, just relax now. You got the. So it's not just their lesson; it's yours as well.
Now my lesson is about YouTube, and I spoke about it through my story.
Remember
about
how it all started.
How bad it is out there, and why this advice works in this world, and why it has. Which is sad. Jesus tried to show us this, and we haven't changed it since then.
You out here knowing that you don't overgive to nobody. I mean, in no way, shape, or form, y'all.
Now, Jesus would not like that. Why would Jesus not like that advice? Would Jesus say that? Huh?
Forgiveness is not
but in this world, and she believes, as she's given it, it's good advice to just be in your bubble, isn't it? Right? Be in your bubble, which is what I talked about with religion in their bubbles. But they're nothing like Jesus, and they will never be like Jesus, as they may have to sacrifice themselves, and these people are weak, right? And so they're nothing like Jesus. They might talk about Jesus, they might look up to Jesus as they need to, because they're nothing like him. And they're not even willing to try yet. They're the smoker that hasn't gotten the nicotine patch yet to prove that they're trying.
And they about to just tell this person they gonna have to leave. If this person living with somebody, they gotta go. Because this person has caused a lot of drama, right?
Yeah, just gotta reheat this soup.
Something came to a complete end. Once again, you have a reason to celebrate. Because this over now. It's over now. Yeah, look at that. Something came to a complete end. Somebody could.
So what do you reckon when it comes to those words of advice? It all depends on where you are, isn't it? And you're willing to join in. You're willing to join in, you take those words of advice, or be in your bubble, if they're joined, but it's certainly not words of advice to help us all heal. It's just another racist thing, I call it. Another way of being racist, to be in a bubble. Right? People are racist because they like that bubble. They pick on everybody because they're in a bubble of racism. Right? You know, we have all the wisdom out there, and God's always provided the wisdom, like on a computer. If you look close enough, you can pick what you want to pick, you can delete, you can copy, right? And it's up to us collectively. Until we get there collectively, our outcomes, our history will always show our repeats of our collective mistake. And how we're all trying to get out of our bubbles and become a giant connection, but we only seem to do it for money. That's why we still work with countries that kill people and have people as slaves, because we like to do things for greed, like she was just saying, for money, and they'll rather look away. Or they say, like a prostitute says, I'm a prostitute because I need to feed my kids. It's another excuse, but they don't really need to. They could have another job. There's another way. But it was easier just be the prostitute for the money and something you quickly do, right? And it favours the devil. It's the bad apple. Right? So if anyone wants to know about the bad apple is not just getting knowledge. No, you've got to get knowledge to work out things, right? It's the knowledge that you learn and how you use it. And if you use it the bad way, you're using knowledge, the bad knowledge of it. Right? You're biting into it. You're like, I'm getting away with it. But I just said it just is. I've got a badge. They're taking it. One day they might revoke, like we see history doing as we change. But at the moment, I can get away with it, and it makes me feel good. My dude does it, he does it. And you know how humans do with copying. He does it, I do it.
It's time.
That's why we talk about how we raise our kids and look at what you do. As you got a high probability that your kid just might use that against you or do it as well. Right? But anyway, have a good one, and that's why you have a lot of kids arcing up these days, because they're getting more brighter. They're putting this technology together. They're more into it, and as I talked about now, the technology's got us so connected. And if the older ones are not into it, like the kids are, then they're more connected and they see more of a point than the oldies could. How's that? Right? Plus they're learning and they got a whole future ahead of them. The oldies like, yeah, mine's done. Hey, I've got the bass. I've retired, and so it doesn't matter what I did with all that credit card. They gave me another one. Right? I'm all good. Right? And so they're hard to change. Right? And you got to try to change them, and sometimes it's best just to leave it, like I said, and build a new house, which is the kids. Right? And the kids are allowed to do that. But when you have these old adults that don't want to change, right, having to go with the mass of the kids that do, that's showing controlism, and you're only going to make it worse. And so with that, that's why we see what we're seeing around the world. It's exactly that thing that's going on. Right? But anyway, I just thought I'd just tidy up a few little things, loose ends, about how I see things and trying to explain things. And if you want to change things, adults have to go to the kids. But when you do that, you'll have the other adults who, behind the scenes, always have an excuse. These bad apple people will come up with, like how they attack politicians. And they'll go, oh, he wants to connect the kids. What is he, a pedophile? Or is he a kid in the brain? Is he that and this? No. We can talk about certain things, and you can pick out what you believe. Right, and go run around and look for what you're trying to believe. You might even find it, because sometimes when you look hard enough, you might manifest something that's not there. Right, like the numbers thing, right? You can get to you. Have you ever seen that show, Numbers, and the guy goes crazy? Right? He's manifesting what he doesn't understand yet, and it's making him go crazy, because if you don't understand it and no one else around you does, you will look crazy, go crazy, as you haven't figured it out. You shouldn't be talking to people. I've learned you don't talk to people who don't understand. Huh? Otherwise you get angry, as they will use these key words because they don't understand. It's like a kid when they go, but daddy, right? The kid goes, come on, listen to me, Linda, listen to me. Right? You can't talk to them. Right? They're not educated. So you're better off just go, okay, leave it alone. And if you got the badge, put them in the corner. That's what you do with the kid. That's why we have badges. Right? And we do the same thing when you get older, but there's not much difference between bullying them and bullying them when you get older. You're still better than right? They find another way to stab you, bully you. Right? There's nothing that's changed. In fact, if you look back, a lot of these bullies get good jobs or they don't. It goes either way. But there's a lot of bullies in certain areas. Right? And it's the same with the religion. This could be scary because you don't know what's really healed. But a lot of religion people or priests are people that were druggos and stuff like that. Now, it's a good thing if it's true, but are they really following their word, or they just have another way of living by donations and stuff and bending their bubble? But anyway, I'm going to leave it there. It's a whole bunch of conversations, as I don't really get real ones in this real well. And people just like to use and abuse, just like she said before. It's a really true thing. And only give out, I believe, that you know in the end you can go fuck it. Right? Because if you give out in the end where you can't go, I'm just going to shut up there for a second, where you can't go, fuck it, then you're going to go crazy. I've recorded some of this, just finalising a few things as I hook into spirituality, because that's a big time. A lot of it you can just give up. The thing is, it does make sense, yeah, we're just going to give up. But if you do that, then you're not going to never find out about spirituality. Right? It is a long progress. We look at the stories all the time. We see a similarity repeat, but humans like to repeat. So if they know a story, they may repeat a story, right? Or see an outcome because of outcomes before. And it doesn't mean it needs to happen. You know what you create. You have people that try to read you a story, right? Telling you what your future is and all that, but future's never written. Right? They might see an outcome of now, right? They see it. And then if they talk about it, you can create it by talking about it, which is talked about in brain games. When it comes to numbers, people might say a lot of numbers or say a lot of things, and then they say, what's your number behind the back? And this guy and he gets really good at it. And they'll give him these numbers during the day, right? He keeps eating 7, and then they'll ask him later on, this is what they do on a test, and they go, now, put a number behind your back. And right, say they keep seeing 7, they got a high probability, right? Doesn't always, but most of them, out of say 5, 3 of them did have that number, or 4, or even all 5. right? In a lot of cases, more than not, right? Because it's fed into our brains how we work. We're a program, right? And it's a recent one too. And so when you go, quickly give me a random number or quickly give me a random name, right? And they've heard a name or a number, they will more likely say that name or hide that number behind their back. And these shows prove it by doing these things to these people, right? And then they go, and you can do a little test like that doesn't really harm people, and they're short ones too, so it doesn't do too much damage. When you do long, big period of tests, is what bad people, the type of people do for envy and greed and for their information only. You'll see them do bad tests on animals and people for too long, and the longer they do, the badder it is, right? To try to get these outcomes. When you can shorten it, you can do a brain test like that, and you can do it to someone else and something else like that, or you can do it all to one and then not tell them anything. And the longer they do these games or fool people, like in Candy Camp, right, the longer it becomes more worse to heal it, right? And that's what we're going to get through as a society at the moment, about how long we've been fooled on what's the really right way and why we don't go such a right way, and why we can't heal envy and greed, and why bullying keeps continuing from school. And we haven't solved that problem. If we can end bullying continuing from school, then maybe it'll help end bullying of the future bullies, right? If these bullies out the bully and get away with things, and then they have money and opportunities to bully more, they will, right? And that's what we see, right? If you look back in a lot of things, and they get higher ranks to bully more and so on. And anyway, it's like an inflation thing. If you making it worse over here by making people more cost, by trying to control them with that, by putting up more cost, and then by doing this, and then other people are seeing you do it, so other people are doing it, and if you're doing it, right, it all adds up to people having no money, and you've got products that you replace all the time, right? You end up having people with no money. That's what's inflation? People just don't have enough money to do the standards kind of thing. You get to a point where they just believe they're living for the standards. And if you get to a point where what do you got left after your standards, right? That money, that's what you're living to go out and party with. So $200, oh shit, I can go out one night, I can buy this little thing. Shit, I worked all week to just get this, right? Now, perhaps some people have gone too big with their payments. And in some cases, that does happen. But in inflation, that means it's the regular. So everyone's done the same thing, right? With too much in their payments as well. And why everyone's got inflation, they all wanted too much. Or it's the other way around, right? It can only ever be everyone, right? It means their inflation's gone too high and you can only pay for your standards, which we see in movies and where things collapse. We've seen countries collapse like that because of corruption leaders and people that could just got way too greedy with the yes of the greed, right? And copy, and then people saying you can't even put out information, right? And if you keep things to yourself and you don't put out information, and AI can listen to everything you say, right? You're screwed. That means AI wins, and they're allowed to use what AI picks up and gives them in the algorithms. That's what the AI is doing at the moment. It's stealing people's thoughts and things, and then puts it in, and then they go up, the business dude owns AI and goes, so what's the best thing? What is everyone talking about? What is a cool thing? And the AI will pick of what it's heard and steal what you're not using, right? And definitely if you haven't got a big badge, because you won't know, then they'll do it first. But if you've got anything to say about it, after that, they'll go too bad. And they can easily use the good old words of human speech that they use for also loopholes. It's a coincidence, right? But if you know science, coincidence only goes so far. Like they say sometimes, if it's more than 3 times and if it's recent and it happens every time, then it's more likely not a coincidence, right? But people like to just keep going, it's a coincidence, you get it? Human speech, it's, you can call it, some people in some religions, magic speech and all that kind of bullshit. But nothing's real unless we speak about it. If it's kept hidden, well, it's real, but it's a bubble real, and it's more likely deceiving, right? If it's something they need to hide, well, they need to learn it better, quicker. And I believe that God people obviously are taking their time, because none of them have got it right, where bad guys do and use their powers and gifts to take over the world, and they're bad apple, where the good guys are not using their good apple, right, to counteract that. They're losing at this moment when we see a lot of the world failing, and they lose against the connection, and they've never got that succeeded yet. We're so bright with building technology and all these things, but we haven't got the key points of connection and getting along, because that'll make us succeed better for everybody, right? And practice what you preach for real, right? And you never give out donations unless you know what the money's doing. And if you believe that it's going to fail, right, and you really do want to help a country, it's best that you buy things and give it themselves. So they go, oh, we need 100 million for some tanks. Well, you get that 100 million, you go buy some tanks from a place, you get the best deal too. So you make sure they spend the best money. So you give them 100 million, they just go get tanks of 100 million of their own thing. They spend whatever price, a little bit like insurance thing. They pick their pickup, but they go for the dearest dude, right? And then they ask you for more money again because they're not wise with their money. But if you're wise with your money, and you definitely want to be if you give it out, is that you would want to go get the best deal and get those tanks for them. A little bit like what the government does in America with food vouchers and stuff like that. Right? Your best to do it and give that money for them for food so they can go get it. Your best to deliver it yourself. Right? And if you're worried about your technology or the way you do things, you go do it yourself personally. Right? And that's how I'd run a country when it comes to what we give out. I'd like to go there personally with every big check, definitely if it's over a few million, or at least 10 million, all right? Something like that. And if it's been spoken about, that means I'll have to go over there and make sure it's all legit and we know where the money goes and that we did the right thing, right? And that the people are happy to go into more debt for this situation. And if we're not in debt, well, then they're happy to use a little bit of their profit and spending money instead of on roads and hospitals, or put into a bank so their prices of their things can go down for themselves, right? As they're a strong country and make them stronger by saving, because that's what it all is. If you have savings, you look like a bigger man. And that is the same way when it comes to countries. The biggest favourite country is the one in the less debt, you see. But anyway, have a good one, everybody, and see you later. I hope that was a good little clean up for the channel that I'm finishing up on now. See ya.